I'm Chris Bussing. Welcome to my channel. It's committed to helping more people create freedom and impact in their life through success in sales and the pursuit of their potential. We've got an incredible guest today, Glenn Lundy, who went from homeless and broken to industry leader in the automotive sales industry and to become a keynote speaker and an author. We're going to dig into 5 rituals that completely transformed his life that you can implement today to transform yours as well. If you get value out of the video, of course, give the like button a love tap and share this video with more people who could benefit from the message. And hey, subscribe to the channel because every week interviewing inspiring people like Glenn. But what a treat. Let's dig into it. Glenn, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, man. Give the like button a love tap. I love it, dude. That's good.
Just trying to spread the love, the algorithm.
It's so good, dude.
You gotta mix it up, right?
You got to mix it up to make it stand out. Like that makes it stand out. I love that.
And that alliteration, I can't help it. But speaking of stand out, I think this conversation is really going to stand out. I want to start with you painting a vivid picture of where you were at when you were homeless and broken. And I know you probably used that word broken intentionally. Sure. I bet a lot of people out here can relate. You know, they've had their rock bottoms. Maybe they're not getting the results they want in life. What did that look like?
Yeah. So, homelessness was a challenging season. I was I grew up in Arizona, made plenty of mistakes there, in and out of jail, so on and so forth. And then I lost custody of my daughter when she was 6. And so I decided to move out of Flagstaff, Arizona, made my way around, burning bridges all along the way. And it's the craziest thing, you don't see homelessness coming. You just kind of wake up one day and you got nowhere to go. Wow. It's the craziest thing. And so I found myself homeless on the beaches of San Diego. And so I was surrounded by wealth and $1 million houses and all these beautiful, people and scenery and so on and so forth. And here I was, basically invisible. And Chris, that's really the worst part about homelessness is you become invisible. People won't make eye contact with you. They'll look above you, below you, to the left, to the right. You're like a park bench, basically, right? And I understand why people don't want to make eye contact, right? They're afraid that maybe you're going to ask them for money, you're going to mug them, or they don't know your situation. It can be a little freaked out, a little freaked out. So, but as a homeless person, it's devastating. Nobody ever says your name. Just become invisible. You're like this background piece. And so homelessness for me, that invisibleness became kind of a hopelessness, and the hopelessness became a deep depression became suicidal thoughts. And ultimately I attempted to take my own life, tried to drown myself in the Pacific Ocean. But God had other plans for me. And on the backside of that, man, I really got a wake-up call at that lowest moment of my life. I got a wake-up call, and since then I've been, continuing on this journey to really understand who we are as spiritual beings, and why I've been given what I know a lot of other people, I've been given a second chance where a lot of other people haven't.
It's incredible that you can speak to homelessness, feeling invisible, having suicidal thoughts, and you could laugh at it in this moment. That is such a beautiful thing. And I hope that more people out there who are in the rock bottom eventually can look back and laugh like Glenn is. So I'm curious, Glenn, was there a specific moment where a paradigm shift took place, like some inflection point, something inside you changed and said, I'm getting out of this shit? Or what did that look like? What did the journey upward look like? When did you have a turning point?
Yeah. So right after, when I attempted to take my own life out there, the moment I was back on land, back on the beach, I had what I believed to be God. God spoke to me in a way and said, you take yourself wherever you go. And I had heard that before from a mentor when I was young. He used to tell me all the time, you take yourself wherever you go. You take yourself wherever you go. And I had no idea what the heck that meant. I'm like, bro, this is some mystery phrase. What do you mean you take yourself wherever you go? I don't even understand it. But in that moment, I understood, oh, wait, I've lived in all these different cities. I've had all these different jobs. I've had all these different circles of friends, but the result continues to be the same. The only thing constant is me. Take yourself wherever you go. So then that opened up a whole bunch of doors for me. I was like, okay, wait a minute. You mean to tell me I'm not a victim in this situation? Yeah. I'm actually the catalyst. I'm homeless because this is where I landed, not because somebody else put me here, right? Like, that was a huge paradigm shift for me, to take responsibility for my own actions that led up to that particular point. And so once that hit, I was like, okay, wait a minute. If we have the power to create negative things in our life, does that mean we have the power to create positive things in our life? And that question led me to start seeking an understanding of, where does that power come from? How do we have the ability to create? So I went on this journey, man. I studied, I started trying to learn more about myself, right? The spiritual side of self. And I went on a journey. I spent 6 months at the Orange County Church of Scientology, learned all kinds of things there. Decided ultimately Scientology was not a fit for me. Went and studied Buddhism, Catholicism, all kinds of things, man. And I came across Christianity, the story of Jesus, and I personally found my path to spiritual understanding through the stories of Jesus in the Bible. And I've now spent the last 15 years really just trying to grow that inside me and explore it. It's a series of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like, there was no overnight moment where one day I'm a freaking in and out of jail jerk homeless guy and the next day I'm freaking successful. Like, that's not how it works, right? Like, I was still a knucklehead for years after breaking out, but I was progressing, man, right? A little bit of progress, better understanding. But that really was the moment that defined the shift, the paradigm shift for me. Not a victim, but actually the catalyst too. And what does that mean?
Man, if we could just get that, all of us, and have that shift to take ownership and responsibility, it seems so simple, but it's so transformative. So thank you for sharing that moment. And Desiree, thanks for showing up live. We got some folks live. She said she loves your quote. It's one of hers. Everywhere you go, there you are. So already resonating. And Des, thanks for showing up. Glenn, I wanted to ask you, on this journey out to where you are today, at what stage in the journey did you develop your 5 rituals? Was this like a looking backwards thing? And of course, I'd love to flow into these rituals that can unlock our potential. But when did you stumble upon these rituals?
Yeah. So as I started this journey of self-discovery, it led me quickly into the land of self-development, right? Running into different books, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and all these guys, right? I started running into that world, and it was really interesting because depending on what season of life I was in, I seemed to be attracted to different, like, motivational speakers and successful coaches and so on and so forth, right? When I'm first coming out of homelessness and life just looks like crap, right? Like, I run into Les Brown, and he's like,
oh my gosh, yeah,
Les Brown's like, if you're gonna life's gonna kick you down, but if you can land on your back, then you can look up, and if you can look up, you can get up, things like that. And then Eric Thomas, like, the next season for me was like Eric Thomas, like, just, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll be successful.
Yes, man, I would listen to that, like, in Boston. And by the way, it's just like 4 years ago in the snow, listening to that on the way to the gym, man. And I have to tell you, I got to shake Les Brown's hand. Do you ever go to the National Speakers Association convention? I know you're speakers, but do you ever go?
I haven't been to that, no.
Okay, I'm sure you would be, shining star over there, but I got to meet Les Brown. So quick side note. Anyways, continue on. I love those folks.
Les is awesome, man. And luckily through actually Clubhouse in the morning show, I've had an opportunity to interview him a couple times, and him and I have had some phone calls, and he's even more impactful, like, one-on-one than the guy is from the stage. It's absolutely unbelievable, right? But, Les, and then there was Eric, and then, and I'm studying, and as I'm studying all these successful people and kind of rolling through these different seasons, I'm like, what is the pattern, right? Because Eric has a different style, Les has a different style. And then I'm looking at like successful people like, Beyonce, Oprah, and Bill Gates, and all these different, and they all have their own style, but I'm like, I'm a pattern guy. Like, what is the one through thing? So as I'm reading biographies and studying all this stuff, I was fascinated to find that every successful person on record has some sort of powerful morning routine, some sort of ritual that they do when they first wake up in the morning that taps into mind, body, or spirit. Mind, body, and spirit. I don't know why. Sorry, I've put my phone on do not disturb like 10 times. Someone just keeps calling. I don't know what the deal is.
You're popular, and I can't even hear it. So
okay, sorry, man. It's driving me nuts over here. But yeah, like it was different times, right? People sleep differently in different amounts of time, and they wake up at different times. Like Beyonce normally doesn't get up till like 12, 1, 2 o'clock because she does shows late at night. She'll do shows till 1, 2 in the morning, and then so she doesn't go to bed till 6 a.m. But the first hour to 2 hours when she wakes up, she has a ritual. Everyone's got a ritual. Times are different. They all had a ritual that taps into mind, body, spirit. So once I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't have a wake up ritual. Like I'm, wake up at the last second, throw myself together as quickly as possible and go to work or whatever, right? And so I started exploring morning routines. I remember reading Tony Robbins, and Tony was like, you got to take a cold shower every day. I'm like, all right, let's take a cold shower every day. So I started taking cold showers. I'm like, this bullshit, bro. I do not like this at all. I'm out, man. I do not like the cold shower thing. It puts me in a bad mood, not a good mood. So I don't like it, right? But I tried different things, and ultimately I put together a combination of 5 simple steps that worked incredibly for me, completely transformed my life. And after years of implementing it myself, I started teaching it to other people, and they started getting results following these 5 simple steps. So then I was like, oh, this is actually a thing. So we wrote a book about it. And now, millions of people around the world have been able to change their lives by simply changing how they start their day.
Wow. Yeah, winning the morning is a powerful thing. And guys, I've linked Glenn's ebook and his website, so you can poke around and check it out. I highly encourage you to do so. I did myself. It's really great stuff. And Glenn, obviously we don't want to steal all your thunder at going into the full book, and we don't even have the time for that. But could we scratch the surface at least on some of these rituals and tap into one by one? Is that okay with you?
Yeah. So the book the book takes time to share my story, how we implemented, and the science behind a lot of these steps. Yeah. But the steps are very simple. But that's the name of the book. The morning 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. They're very simple, right? Step 1 is never hit the snooze button. Step 2, don't touch your phone first thing in the morning. Step 3, gratitude and goals. Write down the things that you're grateful for, and then write your goals. I know it sounds like 2 steps, but it's actually 1. There's science behind that. There's reason behind that. Step 4 is take care of the physical. Crawl, walk, run, don't care. Just something, get the body in motion. Object in motion stays in motion. Object at rest stays at rest. So get the body in motion. And then step 5 is to send out an encouraging message. That's it. It's those 5 steps. And the encouraging message is simple, right? It can be a text. It can be a Facebook message. It can be a sticky note. It could be whisper into your kid's ear. You just release the positive energy out into the universe, which ultimately impacts them and comes back to you tenfold, which is crazy. But that's it, man. 5 simple, easy steps. You do those things every single day, and it changes everything.
So I'd like to double click into each step, and then also I had a question about after how much time can you expect to get some results? And it's funny, I think of the kid in the car, like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And I believe that the answer is do this over years, and of course you're going to transform. But we can table that. Maybe we could look at each step. The first one is don't snooze the alarm. Yeah. And we got, I think, of integrity, personal power. Can you just double click a little bit into that one? What's the why behind it?
Yeah. So there's a lot of science, right? So we sleep in cycles. Human beings sleeping in cycles. They're called circadian rhythms. And these circadian, not Arcadian, but
Arcadia is a place. Maybe in
yes.
Florida. I'm from Florida.
That's right. So these circadian rhythms, right? So we sleep in rhythms. The reason we do this is back in the day, we didn't used to have ADT security systems, roof over our heads, and locks on our doors. So it didn't make sense to go into a coma for 8-9 hours at night. It was a very dangerous situation to put yourself in. So we sleep in these rhythms that go from light sleep to REM sleep to deep sleep, back to REM sleep, and then to light again. These paths are called sleep cycles. And most people's sleep cycles are between 2 and 3 hours long, from light to REM to deep to REM back to light. Now, if you wake yourself up at peak light sleep, that is the optimal. That's when you want to wake your body up, is when you're at peak in the rhythm, versus waking yourself up when you're in an REM or when you're in a deep sleep. Then you wake up groggy and challenged, fuzzy, confused, all of those types of things. So here's what happens. Over time, you create patterns. We're habitual people. Most people go to bed roughly the same time, get up roughly the same time every day. Your circadian rhythms have adjusted to match this. So when you set your alarm for 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever time it is, when you set your alarm and you create that pattern, the circadian rhythm is adjusting to put you in light sleep. This is why a lot of times you wake up like 1 minute before your alarm clock goes off. Like, man, I woke up like right before my alarm clock, right? It's because you're right there at that light sleep. The body is conditioned based on your behavioral patterns. So here's where the snooze button comes in. You're at peak light sleep, optimal time to wake up. You wake up, you reach over, you hit the snooze button. You go back to sleep. When you go back to sleep, it starts the next circadian rhythm. And guess what? Your body's going to go through it whether you're awake or not. This is why you can snooze for 10 minutes and never once in your life have you snoozed and felt more rested after the snooze, right? It's a liar, right? You're like, oh, if I just lay here 8 more minutes, I'll feel great. You lay there 8 more minutes and you're like, I still don't want to get up. It doesn't work. It doesn't solve anything. It actually makes it worse. So you've gone into this next cycle. Now you get up 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, whatever it is, right? And you're now going to spend the next hour and a half to 2 hours in an under-optimized space because your body's going to go through a sleep cycle. This is why coffee is rampant. This is why energy drinks are rampant. This is why people are like, don't talk to me till I get my coffee, right? It's because you're freaking waking up mid-cycle. You're going to be grumpy. You're going to be groggy. You're going to be confused until you reach that next heightened point of that circadian rhythm. So never hit the snooze. It's the worst thing you can possibly do scientifically for your rest and for your body in order to get into a peak state.
Sounds like another bad thing is to check the phone.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty bad with that. And so that's number 2, right? Could you double click into that?
Yeah. So when we grab our phones first thing in the morning, well, let's back up. When you wake up first thing in the morning, or I say first thing in the morning, could be in the afternoon, depends on you, right? Yeah. But when you wake up first thing, your brain, the majority of your brain activity is actually going to happen in the first couple hours of your day, right? So you wake up and the brain is like, where am I? Am I safe? Am I alive? What do I have to do today? What is the date? What's the time? Like your brain is it's firing like crazy to get information and data to ultimately be able to direct you through your day. What we now do in today's society is we wake up and we immediately grab this. So now we're feeding the brain, right? We're feeding the brain violence, destruction, politics. If you think about everything that's on your phone, right? On social media feeds, email. If you get an email overnight, is it a good email or a bad email? If somebody emails you at 2 a.m, it's usually something went wrong, right? Like there's a problem. Or if you have a text message on your phone first thing in the morning, something happened overnight that couldn't wait for you to wake. Like it's a bad thing, right? So as soon as you go into your text, your emails, your social, the news, dude, the news, oh my gosh. I travel a lot. When you go to hotels, these TVs, the first like 15 to 20 channels are news channels nowadays, bro. Like channel 2, news, channel 3, channel 5, channel 7, channel 19, channel 27. They're all news. And the news is all bad. It's all terrible, right? And they run from like 4 a.m. till 11. So everything's negative. So you're feeding your mind all this junk first thing in the morning, which is setting the tone, and you're allowing other people to ultimately determine your course and your direction in life. And when we allow other people to determine our course and direction in our life, there's no possible way for us to actually achieve our fullest potential, because we will always be limited or capped by those that we follow. So it's gotten so bad, dude. Like, people don't even, the first, what, Chris, before phones, were you old enough? How old are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm 30, and I didn't get a phone. I was a late bloomer till like high school.
Okay, didn't get a phone till high school. So when you, before phones, do you remember what the first thing you used to do in the morning was?
Gosh, I have a bad memory.
Okay, I can remind you. I already know.
First thing I would do. That's a good point. I've been so addicted for a long time.
Well, the first thing you used to do in the morning when you got up is you used to go to the bathroom. That used to be the first thing you did. Now we don't even go to the bathroom until we're on our phone. That's how addicted people are. You like wake up, you grab your phone, you stumble in, you're taking a pee. You're already freaking on the stop. Right?
You missed the mark. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. You missed the mark. But that's how crazy it is. And I use that point because it usually sticks with people like, oh yeah, it really is a problem, right? You don't know it's a problem until you're aware that it's a problem. And if you can't do bodily functions before you get on your device, it's a problem. It's a problem. And you got to remember, there's teams of people that are designed to glue this thing to your hand, man. Like thousands of billions of dollars are spent to make this thing the most addictive thing as possible. Like, that's how they generate revenue. They need you on this thing, right? So they don't have your best interest in mind. Trust me on that. So it's very important. Put the phone to the side. Your brain is firing. Take some time, meditate, spend time in prayer, run through the morning 5, whatever it is for you, right? But take some time to utilize that thought power to feed your brain some good food, some good nutrition, some high value things like tapping into your spirituality and so on and so forth. Then go jump into the world of chaos, right? But let's build a strong foundation first, take care of ourselves first, and then we'll be strong enough to go out into the world.
The only exception is when you have Glenn Lundy on in the morning. This is
even then. I tell people all the time, I'm like, don't watch my show until you've done your stuff first.
Yeah, no, I love it. And my dad says, preach it, Glenn. Your message is right on. Amen. Yeah.
Oh, that's your dad?
Yeah, he's in here.
Nice to meet you, John.
Yeah, so thanks, Dad, for being a great fan here and showing up, bringing some great energy. So, Glenn, is number 3, is it gratitude and goals? I know you said get movement was another one too. I don't know if I'm switching the order. Is number 3 gratitude and goals?
Yeah, gratitude and goals. And I know, like I said, I know it sounds like 2 steps, but we call that one. And the reason I believe you need to do them together is, again, I just look at, I'm a studier, right? I study patterns and I look at data. And the data says that 87% of adults know that they should write down their goals. Someone somewhere in their life told them to write their goals. Has anybody ever told you to write down your goals, Chris?
Oh yeah. No, I literally have a mentor that he's multiple houses. He's retired, actually through my dad. I met him, and he had a goals coach change his life. I guess he met a motivational speaker at a bar. You always hear about it, right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows that they should write their goals, right? But I'm sorry, I've used the wrong data. Everyone knows they should write their goals. 87% of people don't. So I started looking at that. I'm like, why is it? Because it's very easy to do. It's not challenging. Most of us know how to read and write, and you take a pen, you take a piece of paper, you write it down. So why is it that if everyone knows they should and the value of it, why do 87% of people not do it? So I asked that question. And so I really started to analyze the goal writing process. And here's what it looks like for most people, right? I wish I had a bigger house. I wish I had more money. I wish I was better looking, right? This is a negative experience. When you're sitting there going, I wish this was bigger and I wish this was better and all of these things, you're looking at your life going, gosh, I'm a piece of crap, man. Like this, who I am now sucks. Who I want to be would be great, right? And so because it creates a negative energy, most people don't do it. It's not because they're not willing to, or they're lazy, or they don't understand the value of it. It's because it creates a negative frequency. And just like when I turn into a dark alley, if I feel negative energy, I'm like, maybe I'm gonna go back out here and walk around. I'm gonna go the long way, right? We avoid negative energy. So I believe that most people at least attempt to write their goals, but it becomes a negative experience. So how do we solve that? Well, we solve that by writing gratitude first and then our goals. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful my bills are paid. I'm grateful I woke up today because 77,000 people did not. And one day I want to have a bigger house. And I'm going to go get more money. And I'm going to get my body in better shape, right? But now it's a positive experience versus a negative experience. So this is very important that's why I'd call it one step, not two. Write down 10 things you're thankful for first, put you in a positive frequency, then go reach for your goals. That positive energy will actually the gratitude will fuel you to chase your goals versus goal setting by itself can do the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, that is such a good subtle distinction to start with gratitude. It's like, how can we even attract abundance or what God has in store for us when we're not grateful and appreciative for what we have? And I heard it said too, Glenn, I'm sure you've heard this before too. The one thing that someone who has all the money in the world can't buy is a sense of enough. And I know you've been successful from a material perspective, and that came as a consequence. And maybe we can talk more about that, but that you start from that place of enough, like I have enough, and then you flow into the goals. And one other thing I liked is you changed from I wish to I will, like it really declaring it in an act of faith. And so I love that subtlety.
Yeah, man, super important. Right? I actually personally write my goals like I am. If it's I am statements are powerful. Claim it. Okay. Be emboldened by it. Step into it. Right. So I'll write. I write every day for the last 14 years. I've written down I am an amazing husband and father. Written that every single day for the last 14 years. Right. And if you ask my wife or ask my kids, they would probably, I would assume, tell you that I'm a pretty amazing father, right? But I wasn't. I didn't used to be. I lost custody of my 6-year-old. I wasn't that. So when I started writing, I am an amazing husband and father, I didn't know what that looked like, what that felt like, or what that was. But I became it over time by continuing to write, I am, right? I am a successful business owner. I am earning this much money. I am. When you throw in those I ams, it really causes you to shift who you are character-wise to fit those bold statements.
So guys, to the audience out there that showed up live right now, and to those who see this video in the future as it floats out in the evergreen YouTube sea, we got some day ahead of us. So take out the pen or pencil, whatever you have, and write down your I am statements, like really apply what Glenn's saying. And let's make a habit of that. It is so powerful, Glenn. And so for number 4, ritual 4, start to move a little bit. Do you do that in the morning? Do you stack it with these other things? Or do you ever have it float into later in the day? And like, what does movement look like for you, practically speaking?
Yeah. So object in motion stays in motion. This is what I tell people all the time. I don't care if you have to crawl. If it's walk. If you got to jog. If it's a run. Maybe you like to play basketball in the morning. Maybe you want to do golf. Maybe you want to do yoga. Maybe you want to do, it doesn't matter. Yeah, dance. Like it really doesn't matter. Just get in motion. I've had people tell me all the time, they're like, Glenn, I'm waking up earlier, but then I end up going back to sleep. Well, guess what? You can't fall back asleep on a treadmill. You just can't. You could try, but it's a painful experience. You won't do it twice. I promise you that, right? No one's ever fallen asleep on a treadmill. So you got to get moving, got to get into motion. So yes, for me, mine is slightly shifted because I have a show that I do right in the middle, right? I've got a 5:30 in the morning show. So I wake up at 3:20 a.m., no snooze button, no phone, gratitude and goals. Wow. Then I write my show. Then I drive to the studio. Then I build my show because I do a full production. I build the show, then I deliver the show, then I do commentary on the show. And now it's 6:30. Then at 6:30, I'll do my run or lift or whatever it is. I'll do my workout routine. Then I go home, shower, clean up, have breakfast with the kids, and then head to the office.
Yeah, that's incredible that you get up that early and pack in so much in such a short time, and you're giving your gift, creating that production in service of others, and even doing a commentary on it. And you got me motivated after this. I think I'm gonna hit the gym. And
yeah, man, let's go.
no, you got me pumped up because I was gonna push it off till later today. But it also does seem though that you do some of the baseline stuff like don't snooze the alarm, don't touch the phone, gratitude and goals, and then you do your creative work, and then the workout happens. It's not like it has to happen like immediately after, right? The other steps.
Yeah, basically I send out an encouraging message and then I work out.
Yeah.
So those two I have reversed. Now, if I didn't have my show, I wouldn't have those reversed. Right? Okay. My show is sending out an encouraging message.
And that's the fifth one, right?
That's the fifth.
And can you how do you phrase it again? So sending out an encouraging message, like how would you describe this one?
Yeah, it's real simple, man. So if you think about it, you didn't hit the snooze button. Great. That's a win. You not touching your phone first thing in the morning, right? So you're not allowing any other emails, text messages, or any other information to come in. You selfish son of a gun, you, which is great. Then you're writing down the things you're thankful for, and then you're writing down your goals, right? Then you go work out your body. So you've been selfish all morning. Congratulations. The only chance you're going to have, I promise, the rest of the day to be in that selfish position. People think selfish is a bad thing. No, you got to build yourself up foundationally first. You have to take care of self before you can take care of others. Everyone knows the old airplane adage, right? Put the mask on you before you try to put it on somebody else. So those four are selfish in a sense, and you're building this vibration. You're creating this frequency. Now, step 5 is we send out an encouraging message. And here's why this is important from a scientific standpoint. Energy cannot be created, nor does it dissipate. It can only be converted. So this is why we have windmills that capture the wind, converts that into energy or electricity. We have dams that capture flowing water and turn that into electricity, right? You cannot create energy. It can only be converted. So when we release positive energy out in the form of text message, my show, a sticky note on the wall, breathing it into your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, right? Like when you release it, that energy now that has been converted from the processes of working out and so on and so forth, that energy has no choice but to ultimately make an impact where it lands and then convert and come back. If you look at historical texts like the Bible, the Quran, so on and so forth, they call this karma, or they call this what you give out comes back tenfold, right? Like every historical religious text that you can find will talk about this exchange of energy, how what you release comes back. So we don't do it for that purpose. We do it to make a positive impact on someone else's life. But the ultimate benefit is, dude, I am getting every single day, all of this positive energy is going out, all of these things, and they're converting in incredible ways. And I don't know how they convert or when they convert or in what way. Like, I don't know any of that. And that's cool. Like, I don't need to know. It can convert and ultimately impact my wife, my kids, my whatever, right? But the law of the universe states that it will come back in some sort of positive way somewhere down the road. So it's a win-win all the way around. So we're releasing positive, we're receiving positive, we're impacting people in a positive way. We worked it up and now we're going to use it, right? Don't just work it up and not use it.
Everyone loves the idea of a morning ritual and routine. So that's why this is such a great conversation, why the morning 5 is so impactful. And I've heard a lot of routines, and I think yours is different in the sense that I don't think I've heard about this sense of releasing positive energy and doing it to start your day. So that is really cool. Yes. I've been reading the book, The Practice by Seth Godin, and he talks about art, and art to him is giving and contributing something like a message that makes the world a little better, elevates people, without having any idea of what the outcome might be. And clearly you're making art every day, and we're making art right now in this conversation. And so what is this? Is it, it's a podcast? Is that your art? And is it called the Rise and Grind podcast, or is the name changed? Or I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. So it's hashtag Rise and Grind. And it's a daily, fully produced live show on Facebook and YouTube. So it's me, and then I have slides or, videos and B-roll and multiple camera angles and all this other stuff, right? So a fully produced show. So it goes out originally on YouTube and Facebook at 5:30 a.m. Then the audio gets stripped. That goes into podcast form. It also is live streamed into Clubhouse. So you can, however you want to consume it. You want to go watch it, you can watch it. You want to listen to it, you can listen to it. You want to be live, you can be live. You want to do it on pre-record, do it on pre-record. Okay,
cool. And so if someone wanted to check it out, they could tomorrow morning, is the best place to go to YouTube, and they could even check it out today on YouTube, right?
Yeah, just put in hashtag, make sure to put the hashtag in front, because there's a lot of Rise and Grind. So just put hashtag Rise and Grind with Glenn Lundy, and you'll be able to find it.
Hashtag Rise and Grind with Glenn Lundy. Perfect.
Yep.
So Glenn, these rituals are incredible. I wanted to shift to talk about a few other topics.
Okay.
Yes, there's guys. And of course, as we said before, give the like button a love tap, because algorithm.
That's right.
People give a message and share if you got something out of it, which I know I'm going to be sharing because I did. So I'd like to shift to talking about sales, because this channel is about personal transformation, freedom and impact, and using sales as a vehicle for that personal transformation, along with the pursuit of our potential. I found that sales it does open up some amazing things. What are your thoughts on sales? Like, what types of fruit has this path bore for you, if that even makes sense?
Well, yeah, I mean, sales is a natural state. People who think they're not in sales, that is a narrative that has been planted over years and years and years, without going too far down the rabbit hole, but by people that want to suppress the greatness that exists inside you. So when I hear people say all the time, like, "Oh, I can never do sales. Sales is not for me. Oh, sales is icky." Da, 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 da. I'm like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that someone lied to you, because you've been selling since the day you were born." I have 8 children. My 2-year-old sells us every night. She sells us on getting to watch a show or not watch a show. She sells us on getting to eat ice cream or not eat an ice cream. Like, she's constantly selling for the things that she wants. Now, what are her tactics? Screaming, crying. Like, she's got amazing skills that she's learned in just a very short amount of time on how to close the deal. She knows how to get what she wants, right? Same with my 4-year-old, same with my 6-year-old, my 9-year-old, my 11-year-old, my 14-year-old, all of them, right? I think I skipped one in there, but they all have their own, they've all learned sales tactics. Dude, you have to sell somebody on being in a relationship with you. You have to sell somebody on giving you a job. You have to sell somebody on giving you a discount on whatever items, right? Like, our life is made up of sales. And the better you get at the practice, like if you're at the trade, if you can practice the trade, you get more of what you like, what you want in life. Because as we get older, screaming and crying doesn't work as well as it does when you're 2, right? We see a 25-year-old screaming and crying. Now it's like that, person needs to get their crap together, ultimately saying they need to learn how to sell and get what they want in life in a different way. So sales to me is everything. It's something that we've done as humans for thousands of years, is figured out a way to exchange goods through sales and communication. And what it's done for me, embracing the fact that we're all, we all need to hone in our sales skills, has done everything for me, bro. I'll never starve. My family will never go broke. Like, we got it, bro. Sales is the key to it all.
We got it. That's one of the best descriptions of sales and why it's important that I've ever heard. And Clearly, we're all born to sell, and whether we realize it or not, we are selling. Might as well take responsibility and ownership to develop those skills and unlock our potential, going back to that theme of accountability and ownership. And so, you know, as babies, we're screaming and crying. That's our tactics as young kids. And once screaming and crying doesn't work, could you speak to some of the universal principles that have been impactful and effective for you selling?
Yeah. So, you know, sales is all about an effective change of value, right? People buy when value exceeds price. Grant Cardone taught me that when I was 19 years old, 26 years ago. People buy when value exceeds price. And when you understand that simple principle right there, then it shifts to, okay, well, how do I show the value of my product to this person? Well, there's only one way that you can determine a value there's only one way that you can determine how other people feel is what they feel is valuable. And that's through really getting an understanding of the potential client, the customer, who it is that you're trying to sell, right? Because everyone has a different perspective of what's valuable. I recently paid, $300 or something for a pair of Dunks or whatever, right? Little shoes, right? Little Nike shoes. I have, I don't know, like 118 pairs of shoes, right? So shoes, to me, I find value in them. I'll pay $300 for a pair of shoes. My stepdad, bro, he probably has 2 pairs of shoes, right? And he would never, ever, they could be laced in gold. He would not pay $300 for a pair of shoes. So what he finds valuable is different than what I find valuable. And so the principle to understand is the purchase, the exchange will happen as soon as value exceeds price. Even if the person they're like, I can't afford it, I don't have the money, right? We allow that to be excused. No. What they're telling you is you haven't shown enough value to make it a priority for them to be able to get it, right? Like if I told you, Chris, your dad's on here, John, so I don't even want to put that out into the universe. Let's just say there was a emergency situation and you had to come up with $100,000 or this person you love is going to move on the other side of the planet for the rest of eternity and you're never going to see him again, right? And you don't have it. Let's say you don't have it and you got to have it, right?
Yep.
You would find a way to go get it because the value of that person you love and that relationship with that person you love is worth more than the product, right? So you would go get it. You would do anything that you had to do to go get it. And that's when I look at sales, I'm like, how do I show value in a way that the consumer, the customer on the other end feels like they need to go get $100,000 because this is the most important thing in the world, right? So to me, Chris, it really just starts with that simple equation, understanding people buy when value exceeds price. And it's now your job to find out what they find valuable and then deliver in a way that they can see that value.
It's such a simple formula and success really is simple, but I'm taking notes. Understand that people only buy when value exceeds price, and then really empathize and be curious about the customer to know what they value, and people value different things. And I love your example. And I like that you didn't go to say, I think I know where your head was going, but you were like, I don't want to put that out in the world. And I think that was a powerful learning lesson. And I just want to double click on that beautiful moment. I think it seems like you really are mindful of the language you use and understand the power of language and what we speak into the world. That's my hunch, but can you speak more to kind of that moment you're thinking on language and what we put out in the world?
Yeah. So it all goes back to energy, right? Energy cannot be created, nor does it dissipate. It can only be converted. So words are energy. They're energy converted, right? Energy that was produced through synapses and connections in our brain and so on and so forth, blah, 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 comes out as language. So words are energy. They have form. They are not to be taken for granted. They are not just some airy-fairy thing that dissipates and goes away. It never goes away. It converts into something tangible, tasty. You can feel it, right? why they say you can never take, you never take back a harsh word. People can forgive, but people can never forget, right? Because these things have actual energy. So I've learned in my life that words and our choice of how we use them is probably the single most important aspect of growth in any area of your life. If you want to grow in your faith, be careful of how you speak to God and about God. If you want to grow in your relationship with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, be careful how you speak to them and about them. If you want to grow in your company, be careful about how you speak about your company and how you speak when you're in your company, right? Like, all of it matters. It all matters. So I love that you caught that, Chris. You're very, obviously, very aware, and I love how engaged you are in this conversation. It's great, but it just really is. It's super important. I used to say things all the time. I used to say, when I train, I do training in the automotive space with owners and stuff, and I would say, what if your sales manager dies, has a heart attack, something like that? Who do you got to take his place? And I'm like, dude, this is horrible. Why would I like? And so now I changed it. I'm like, what if your sales manager wins $1 billion in the lottery and you never see him again, right? Then what are you going to do, right? And it's just a completely different energy instead of bringing in this negative experience. Both have the same result. The owner no longer has the sales manager, but by shifting our words around it, we can create more of a positive experience than a negative one.
Yeah, what a powerful lesson. And we couldn't even predict we would hit on this golden nugget today. And that's the beauty of these conversations and just being present together. And thank you for the acknowledgement. It's a unique opportunity to have you on for me to learn from you, like what a blessing, as well as the audience. So, okay, I know I think we're going to go a little over, but do you have a hard stop? I just wanted to check with you because there's 10 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm just going to check in because that'll guide what questions I ask to close us out. Otherwise,
I've got another appointment at 11.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. So we'll bring it home.
Chris, look what they did to me today. Look.
Oh my gosh.
Look. Yeah. Is it coming out of Fuggy? Oh, you can't.
Yeah, I can see it. At least you have a little time for breather. I'm sure you have to do your own.
No, I don't. You can't. You can't see them. It's literally everything through 5 p.m. today.
Oh shoot!
Starting at 9 a.m. every minute for 8 straight hours.
Thank God we wrangled you in. Okay. So, all right. A couple of things on sales. I want to flow into kind of, I saw you brought on Grant Cardone and have a relationship with him into your conference. Sure. And then talking about multidimensional success, because you've done something pretty incredible and built a beautiful family and became a great dad. So maybe we could end that note. So first off, we talk about tech sales here because that's all I've known for 9 years. And it's a cool space. It's lucrative. It's dynamic. Technology is cool. But automotive sales is a whole different world, and you've risen to the top of the ranks. You're industry leader and thought leader. What drew you to automotive sales, and maybe what's interesting about selling in that space?
I started in a call center. I was working at a call center selling America Online, which was paid internet browser back in the day. You didn't have Google Chrome and things like that. And it was pretty much a dead end job, but I was successful at it. And one day in the break room, actually, there was a newspaper and there was classified ads. And I saw an ad that said, make $5,000 a month guaranteed. And I was like, whoa, man, that would be amazing. I'd be the richest man I know, right? And so I went, and it was Planet Nissan Subaru. It was a Nissan Subaru dealership in Flagstaff, Arizona. And I interviewed with a guy who was only 2 years older than me, but he was the general manager of the store. And I was 21, I think, at the time, 20. And I was like, wow, this young guy's already a GM, and he had a Rolex and all this stuff. I'm like, he's freaking killing it. I'm like, this is the industry I need to be in. And so I interviewed with him. He hired me on the spot. And that was on a Saturday. Monday, I started working at that company. First thing that they did is they put me in a little utility closet with a VCR. I don't know if you know what that is or not, Chris.
Yeah.
It's a little device with this big tape that we used to put in there. Yeah. And first thing they did was put me in this little closet with this VCR and a little television screen, and they had me start watching Grant Cardone videos. And
Wow.
that was my training back 26 years ago. And so that's how I got in the business. Sold my first vehicle, which was a Nissan Xterra manual transmission. Made something like $1,900 on one deal. I was like, what?
Okay.
This is nuts. And fast forward, here we are 26 years later, and it's been the lifeblood of everything in my adult life. It's all circled around automotive.
So what do you, just real quick, and then I want to talk about Grant Cardone and how he shaped you
Sure.
and your sales approach. But like, what's interesting about, from your perspective, about selling in automotive?
Yeah. So the auto world it's a little bit of a wild, wild west world. It's still fairly archaic in a lot of sense. 73% of car dealerships in America are owned by a second or third generation family members. So there's not a whole, it hasn't been corporatized as much. Now, you do have some bigger groups that are conglomerates and stuff that have gone public and whatnot. But for the most part, it's a lot of mom and pop shops, man. And what's great about that is a guy like me, who made a lot of mistakes early in his life, I can walk into a car dealership and get a job, whereas a lot of other places you can't. You know, when I had a bad criminal record, bad credit, nowadays you gotta like have great credit and you gotta have a clean record, you gotta have all these things in this corporate world. It makes it challenging. So the auto industry, it's just this hodgepodge of people from all these different backgrounds and belief systems, and it's really beautiful, man. And they'll give anybody a chance. Like if you carry yourself somewhat halfway decent, you can get a shot in the auto industry. And it's also the same industry that has produced more billionaires than any other industry. If you think about it, the richest man in the world is a car guy, dude. Freaking Elon Musk, Tesla. He's a car guy, right? And so it's a combination of, it's easy to get into, and the opportunity is as high as it gets. And that's what I really love about the industry.
Gosh, that is a wonderful perspective that we haven't had on this channel. It's just nice to step outside the typical, tech sales. It's a great path. I've loved it, but it's not the only path. So
sure.
Love it. Okay. We have 4 minutes, and here, let's figure out what we can fit. I wanted to hear like maybe one way Grant shaped you, like a lesson, like one key nugget. I wanted to talk about how you kind of built your own stage to bring Grant to you. You had a nice line on that. Like, hey, I couldn't get on Grant's stage, but I built my own. Sure. And then what the key to, having building a great family. So we have 4 minutes. Could you maybe, let's see what we can do, and I'll keep an eye on the time. Like, what about a lesson learned from Grant Cardone?
Yeah, Grant, man, I watched Grant go from selling tapes out of the trunk of his car to, now he's worth, I think, $4.5 billion or something like that. So I've been able to watch his entire journey over the last 26 years, which I'm so grateful for. I've seen him put in the grind. I've seen him do the work. I've seen all the ups and downs. So he's one of the most inspiring people in my life. Actually, one of my sons is middle named Grant, after Grant Cardone. Wow. But fast forward, I had never met him until, I followed him for 15 plus years before I ever actually met him. You know what I mean? But once I met him, he's just always been super kind to me. He's always, him and I we vibrate on the same frequency. And probably one of the biggest takeaways besides his work ethic is, I asked him one time, if you were standing on a mountaintop, you had one message that you could deliver to all of civilization, what would it be? And he said, if you can see it in me, it exists in you. Wow. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's strong. And he elaborated, right? But ultimately he was saying, there's frequencies that exist on this planet. There's energy that exists on this planet. And just like a radio station, when you get dialed in where you can hear it clear, that there's something about that frequency that's connected directly with you. So what I see in Grant exists in me. And that is incredibly inspiring because he's somebody I really, really look up to. Wow.
And what I see in you exists in me. And I think That's just a great concept that, you know, oh, I love it. Okay. What I'm going to do is I want to finish out. We got 2 minutes. Let's talk about, you know, family, right? Like, 'cause I'm thinking of multidimensional success extends beyond just making a lot of money and being a great seller, right? Can you speak to the meaning that like being a great father and husband has brought in your life, and maybe some advice for those who do want to build a loving family?
I think that for me, in my experience, I do believe we have a born on date and an expiration date, and the dash in the middle is all about the impact we make in other people's lives. Like there's this big dance that's happening, and we all have purpose, and we're supposed to impact one another to elevate all of humanity, right? That's really how I see the world. And so the gift of children, or the gift of a wife or a husband, you know, that gift is not something to take lightly. I know a lot of people don't get that experience, but it's an opportunity. 1 + 1 when it comes to relationships does not equal 2. It never has, right? 1 + 1 can become, in our case, we have 8 kids. So 1 + 1 can become 10. 1 + 1 can become 1,000. It can become 1,000,000. It can become whatever. When 2 people come together, it creates something never existed before, and it's unlimited, right? And so for those that want that desire that, the biggest piece of advice that I can share with you is get rid of the word spend from your vocabulary and change it to the word invest. So when we use the word invest, Chris, we say, I want to invest in the stock market. We expect a return. I'm going to invest in my business. We expect a return. I'm going to invest in myself. We expect a return. But then when it comes to kids, relationships, so on and so forth, we'll say, I'm going to spend time with my kids. I'm going to spend time with my girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. I'm going to spend time on vacation. Well, spend is a deficit. It's a negative word. If I spend $5 out of my bank account, I have $5 less. If I invest $5 out of my bank account, I expect to get more. So I got rid of the word spend. I don't use it anymore. And I replaced it with the word invest. And I suggest other people do. I invest time with my kids. I invest in my spouse. I invest in those relationships with the expectation of a return. I know how much time, energy, effort needs to be placed in the relationship when I'm not getting a return. If I'm not getting a return for one of my kids, I need to invest either in a different way or more time. If I'm like my wife, for example, if I lay down in bed with my wife every night and watch Everybody Loves Raymond, Big Bang Theory, King of Queens, or Friends, one of those 4 shows, if I will do that with her every night for 30 minutes, I get an awesome return. My wife's happy. If I don't do those things, I don't get a return. So it seems like I'm spending 30 minutes watching TV, investing 30 minutes into a relationship that gets me a return. That's the biggest piece of advice I give to people. If you want to build, be a great father, be a great mother, be a great parent, be a great spouse, get rid of the word spend, change it to invest, change your life.
Thank you for investing time with us, Glenn. We need to get you to your next meeting. I kept you long. And guys, thank you for your time and attention. I'm going to study up on this video and review it over and over. And I encourage you guys to do the same and like and share it. Glenn, God bless you. And I hope to have you.
Chris, thank you.
All right. Bye. Thanks, guys.